I never thought I'd be the kind of guy who'd end up in a situation like this. 5 years of marriage and I was happy. At least, I thought I was. Candy, my wife, was the kind of woman who could light up a room just by walking into it. She had this effortless charm, a smile that could melt your worst day away. But lately, something had shifted. It started after I got back from a business trip with my boss, Jake Hudson. At first, it was little things. She seemed distracted, lost in thought even when we were together. Then there was her temper. Candy was always quick-witted, but suddenly she was snapping at me over the smallest things. And then I found them, a pair of her panties in the laundry basket. That wouldn't have been strange, except they weren't just dirty. They had a dried stain, something unmistakable. My stomach twisted as I realized what it was. I stood there, frozen, my mind racing through every possibility but always circling back to the same sickening conclusion. I didn't confront her, not yet. I needed proof. I needed to be sure. I had a business trip to California coming up, a 3-day stretch where I'd be away. If she was cheating, that would be the perfect opportunity for her to let her guard down. Before I left, I met with a divorce attorney, Ruby Hawkins, who specialized in cases like mine. "If she's cheating, we need proof," she told me matter-of-factly. She recommended a private investigator, Marvin Johnson. He was the kind of guy who'd seen it all and he wasted no time getting to work. He set me up with a tracking app for Candy's phone and a few discreet audio recorders. It felt like a betrayal of my own, sneaking around like this. But what choice did I have? On the night I left for California, Candy drove me to the airport. She kissed me goodbye, just like always, but there was something off. It felt forced, like she was playing a role rather than feeling it. That night I called her, like I always did when I was away. "Oh, I picked up a last-minute shift," she said casually. "A shift?" I asked, confused. Candy was a teacher. She didn't do shifts. "At Jake's party," she clarified. "One of the waitresses canceled and he asked me to fill in. He's paying me $150 for the night." Something about it didn't sit right. Jake never mentioned anything about a party before I left. "Okay," I said. "Just be careful. Call me tomorrow and tell me how it went." She laughed. "It's just a party, Tim. You worry too much." That night I barely slept. Something told me I wouldn't like what Marvin was about to find. The next morning I checked my email. Marvin had sent me a message. Candy spent the night at Hudson's house. She's still there. And she was very busy last night. Attached were photos. Photos I wish I could unsee. My wife, the woman I had loved for 5 years, was in Jake's bedroom tangled up with 3 men. 3. Jake was one of them. His son Mike was another. The third, a guy I didn't recognize. I stared at the images, my hands shaking. My chest felt tight, like I couldn't get enough air. I tried calling Candy, but it went straight to voicemail. I called our home phone. Nothing. I felt like my world had collapsed. But it wasn't over yet. I met Candy at a mutual friend's barbecue 10 years ago. Back then, I was just some IT guy grinding away, trying to build something for myself, and she was the kind of woman who turned heads without even trying. She had this laugh, full, unrestrained, the kind that made you want to lean in and listen. I fell for her fast, hard. She had been dating someone at the time, but it wasn't serious. At least that's what she told me. Looking back, maybe that should have been my first warning sign, but I didn't think that way back then. I was young, hopeful, a guy who thought love could conquer anything. We got married 5 years later. It wasn't a big wedding, just close friends and family. I was never the kind of guy who needed something extravagant. All I cared about was her. I wanted a life with her, kids, a home, the whole thing. For a while we were happy. At least I was. Candy was a teacher, a good one too. She had this way with kids, this patience and warmth that made them love her. I always thought she'd be an amazing mom. But every time I brought up starting a family, she hesitated. "Not yet," she'd say. "Let's just enjoy each other for a while longer." I understood, or at least I tried to. but after 5 years of marriage, she was still dodging the subject. Then I got the contract. It was a massive deal for my company, something that would finally put us on the map. My salary would nearly double. I told Candy that night over dinner, expecting her to be excited. Instead, she just smiled and said, "That's great, babe." That was it. No excitement, no celebration, just indifference. I chalked it up to stress. Maybe she was just tired. But now, sitting in that hotel room, staring at those photos of her with 3 different men, I realized the truth. She had checked out of our marriage a long time ago, and I had been too blind to see it. The fight. I didn't fly home immediately. No, I waited. I wanted to see how deep this went. Marvin sent me more updates throughout the day. Candy finally left Jake's house around noon. She stopped at a pharmacy on the way home, then she went to lunch with Jake. I clenched my fists so hard my nails bit into my palms. They weren't even trying to hide it. I took the next flight home. When I walked through the door, Candy was standing in the kitchen looking like she had just showered. She was wearing one of my old t-shirts, hair still damp, pretending like nothing had happened. She turned and smiled at me like she hadn't spent the last 2 nights getting passed around by a bunch of guys. "Hey, honey," she said. "You're back early." I stared at her, feeling something inside me break. "Yeah," I said. "Early enough to know where you've been." Her face paled. "What?" I tossed the photos onto the kitchen counter, the ones Marvin sent me, the proof. She looked down at them, her breath hitching. Her hands shook as she picked one up. Tim, Shut up, I snapped. I had never spoken to her like that before, never raised my voice, never so much as cursed at her in anger. But now I felt something close to hate. I saw her eyes dart toward the front door like she was about to run. "No," I growled. "You stay." She flinched, tears welling up. "Tim, please." "Who else?" I demanded. "How long?" She swallowed hard. "It was just... Don't you dare lie to me." She hesitated, then whispered, "A few months." I laughed bitterly. "A few months? That's funny. Marvin's been watching you for 2 weeks and he's already counted 10 guys. You want to try again?" She clutched the counter for support, shaking her head. I didn't mean..." I stepped closer. "You didn't mean what, Candy, to get caught?" Her bottom lip trembled. I felt neglected, Tim. You were so busy with work. I needed attention, and Jake..." I slammed my fist against the counter so hard that the glasses rattled. "Jake?" I spat. "Jake Hudson? My boss?" She winced. "It wasn't supposed to happen." I laughed again, cold and sharp. "It wasn't supposed to happen," I repeated. "You mean the orgies, the nights at his house, the 10 different guys?" She had nothing to say to that. I turned away, trying to breathe, trying to stay in control. Then I remembered the final nail in the coffin. I looked back at her, my voice dangerously calm. "By the way," I said, "you're pregnant." Her breath hitched. "What?" "Oh yeah," I said. "Doctor called while I was away, said the test came back positive." Her hands flew to her stomach, her whole body trembling. But we haven't..." And there it was, the final confirmation. I let the silence hang, watching her face go from confusion to horror. I leaned in, my voice barely above a whisper. "It's not mine." She gasped, stepping back. "No." I smiled, but there was nothing warm about it. "Congratulations," I said. "I hope you and Jake have a wonderful life together." And then I walked out the door. I didn't go far. Not yet. I sat in my truck across the street, gripping the steering wheel so tight my knuckles turned white. I could see her through the front window, pacing back and forth, phone in hand. Calling him, no doubt. Trying to figure out how to spin this, how to salvage whatever mess she'd made. She was panicking. Good. I wasn't done yet. I needed to know why. Candy wasn't always like this. The woman I married, the woman I loved, would never have done this to me. So what changed? What the hell happened to make her throw away everything we built for some cheap thrill? I wasn't leaving without answers. The confession I let her sit with her fear for an hour, let her imagine all the ways I could destroy her life. Then finally I got out of the truck and walked back inside. She was sitting on the couch now, head in her hands, shaking. When she saw me, she gasped, "Tim, sit." I pointed at the chair across from me. She hesitated, then obeyed. "I want the truth," I said. "No more lies, no more excuses. Just tell me why." She wiped her eyes. "Tim, I start talking or I walk out that door and make sure everyone knows what you did. Your family, your job, your friends. You'll have nothing left." That got her attention. She swallowed hard and whispered, "I never meant to hurt you." I laughed, a cold, empty sound. "You never meant to hurt me." I leaned forward. "You had sex with 10 different guys in his house while I was breaking my back for us, and you never meant to hurt me?" She flinched. I could see it now, the shame, the guilt, the pathetic attempt to justify herself. But I didn't care about her guilt. I wanted the truth. "I felt invisible," she finally said. "Like I was just there. You were always working, always thinking about the next big deal, and I was just waiting for you to see me." I stared at her. "So your solution was to fuck my boss?" Her eyes filled with tears. "It wasn't like that." "Then explain it to me," I snapped. "Because from where I'm sitting, it looks like you got bored and decided to turn our marriage into a joke." She wiped her face and took a shaky breath. "It started small," she admitted. "At first, Jake would just flirt, harmless stuff. I brushed it off. But then he started telling me things about how he admired me, how beautiful I was, how you didn't appreciate me." My stomach twisted. "He said you were always talking about work, about success, that you didn't see me as a woman anymore, and I started to believe him." I clenched my fists. "So what? He sweet-talked you and you just spread your legs?" Tears streamed down her face. "It wasn't like that. At first it was just excitement. I felt wanted again. But then, I don't know, I lost control." I stood up, shaking my head. "Number you didn't lose control, Candy. You gave it away." She sobbed. "Tim, please." "No." I turned away. "I don't care anymore." Because the truth was, I didn't. I thought knowing why would help, but it didn't. It just made me realize how pathetic she was. She wasn't some tragic victim. She was just selfish, weak. And now I was going to ruin her. Nuclear revenge. I walked upstairs, grabbed a duffel bag, and started packing my clothes. "Tim, where are you going?" she asked, voice shaking. I ignored her. "Tim, please," she begged, following me. "We can fix this. I'll do anything, just don't leave." I turned to her, my voice like ice. "I'm not leaving," I said. "You are." She paled. "What?" "This house, it's in my name," I said. "The car you drive, mine, the bank accounts. Guess what? I emptied them this morning." Her mouth fell open. You didn't." "Oh, I did. I had gone to the bank first thing when I landed. Transferred every last penny into a private account under my name. She had nothing now." "But I have nowhere to go," she whispered. I smiled coldly. "Maybe Jake has a spare bedroom." She broke down, collapsing onto the bed, sobbing. I walked to the door, grabbed my keys, and tossed them onto the dresser. "You have 1 hour to pack your C-Bahn and get out," I said. "After that, I'm changing the locks." She looked up, desperation in her eyes. "Tim." I walked out, slamming the door behind me, and it felt damn good, but I wasn't done yet, destroying them all. I sat in my truck, staring at my phone. One text, that's all it would take. I had compiled everything, the photos, the timestamps, even the call logs, a perfect little package of Candy's greatest hits. I had 3 numbers queued up: Jake's wife, the school board, because no way in hell was Candy going to keep teaching kids after this. Her parents. I took a deep breath and hit send. Within minutes, my phone blew up. Jake's wife, she was screaming, crying, promising to make that bastard pay. The school board, furious. Apparently, teachers aren't supposed to sleep with half the city. Who knew? Her parents, heartbroken. Her mom called me in tears, begging me to reconsider. But I didn't. Candy had made her bed. Now she could rot in it. The aftermath. By the time I got back home, she was gone. No note, no goodbye. Just an empty closet and a shattered life. Jake, he lost everything. His wife left him, took the kids, and drained his accounts. Candy, fired, disgraced, living in some cheap motel with nowhere to go. And me? I was free. I sat on my porch that night, sipping a beer, watching the sunset. For the first time in years, I felt at peace. She had taken everything from me, so I took everything from her. And it felt damn good. I thought it was done. I thought I had burned it all down, left nothing but ashes where my marriage used to be. But life has a way of throwing curveballs, and this one was nuclear. It started 3 days after Candy left. I was sitting in my truck outside my lawyer's office, finalizing the divorce papers when my phone buzzed. Unknown number. I almost ignored it. But something told me to pick up. I put the phone to my ear. Yeah? A deep voice, smooth and smug, crackled through the line. Tim, we need to talk. I froze. I knew that voice. Jake Hudson. That bastard. I gripped the steering wheel so tight my knuckles went white. What the fuck do you want? He chuckled. Relax, man. I just think we should meet up, face to face. Why the hell would I do that? Because, he said, his voice dripping with arrogance, I've got something you'll want to hear. Something about Candy. Something big. My stomach turned. She was already pregnant. What the hell else could there be? Jake sighed. Listen, you want answers or not? Meet me at Blackwood Bar. 1 hour. Then he hung up. I sat there staring at my phone, my pulse pounding in my ears. Every instinct told me to ignore him. But the part of me that needed closure, the part that still wanted to understand how deep this betrayal ran, couldn't let it go. So I started the truck and drove straight into the biggest fucking nightmare of my life. The secret that changed everything. Blackwood Bar was a hole-in-the-wall kind of place. Dark, quiet, the kind of spot where deals got made and sins got buried. Jake was already there when I walked in, sitting in a booth at the back. He had that same smug look he always had, like he was in control, like he was calling the shots. But the second I sat down, I saw something else in his eyes. Fear. I ordered a whiskey, but I didn't touch it. Talk, I said. Jake leaned forward. Look, man, I know you hate me. You got every right to. But I'm not the only one who's been fucking your wife. I clenched my jaw. I already know that. No, he said, shaking his head. You don't. Then he pulled out his phone and slid it across the table. I looked down and felt the world tilt. The screen was filled with messages. Dozens, no hundreds, all from Candy. And they weren't just messages to Jake. They were messages to dozens of other men. Men I knew, men I worked with, men I saw every fucking day. I scrolled through them, my vision going red. Explicit texts, hotel meetups, secret rendezvous in places I had been. And then I saw his name. I stopped breathing. Mike Hudson, Jake's son. I looked up, my chest tightening. Your son. My voice came out strangled. Jake nodded, looking pale. Yeah. The bastard actually looked ashamed. She started with me, he admitted. But then, I guess she got bored. Or maybe she just liked the thrill. I don't know, man, but Mike, he's only 24. She chased him. She went after him, not the other way around. I felt like I was going to be sick. I had known Mike since he was a teenager. I had mentored him. I had helped him get a job. And Candy had been screwing him behind my back. Jake ran a hand through his hair. Listen, man, I know we've had our beef, but you deserve to know. He sighed. And there's one more thing. I almost didn't want to hear it. but I had come this far. Jake hesitated, then pulled out a piece of paper and placed it on the table, a DNA test for the baby. I picked it up, my hand shaking. My eyes scanned the words, and when they landed on the results, I felt something inside me snap. 99.9% probability of paternity. But not Jake, not Mike, someone else, someone I didn't even know. The baby wasn't just not mine. It wasn't Jake's either. It wasn't anyone I fucking recognized. I slammed my fist on the table so hard the glasses rattled. Who the fuck is this guy? Jake exhaled. I don't know, some random dude she hooked up with at a party. My PI found out a week ago. I shoved the paper back at him. I don't give a damn anymore. Jake nodded slowly. So what are you gonna do? I took a deep breath. Then I looked him dead in the eye. I'm gonna finish this. Then I walked out. The final blow. The next morning I made my move. First, I sent every message, every explicit photo, everything to Candy's school board. She was fired immediately. Then I made sure the paternity results got sent to her parents. They disowned her. But I wasn't done. I had saved the best for last. I sent everything, every message, every piece of proof to a group chat filled with all the men she had been screwing and their wives. And just like that, her entire world imploded. I didn't hear from Candy for weeks, until one night she showed up at my door, tear-streaked, hollow-eyed, destroyed. Tim, she whispered, her voice broken, I have nothing left. I stared at her. Then I stepped forward, leaned in close, and said the words I had been waiting to say. Good. Then I shut the door in her face, and I never looked back. Epilogue. The best revenge, moving the F on. It's been a year. Candy. She vanished. Some say she moved to another state trying to start over. Others say she's still bouncing between motels, barely scraping by. Jake lost his company. His wife took half of everything. Mike, still working some dead-end job, avoiding eye contact with me whenever we cross paths. And me? I got promoted. I got the house. And I got peace. And now every time I see the sun rise, every time I wake up in my home, in my bed without a lying, cheating wife next to me, I smile. Because in the end, the best revenge isn't ruining their lives. It's rebuilding your own. And I did, better than ever. I used to think revenge was about making the other person suffer, about watching their life burn the way they burned yours. And for a while, I wanted that. I wanted Candy to feel every ounce of pain she put me through, and she did. But as the months passed, something shifted. The anger, the bitterness, it all started to fade. Not because she deserved forgiveness, not because I had healed in some cliché way, but because I was free. For the first time in years, I wasn't being lied to. I wasn't second-guessing myself. I wasn't wasting my energy on someone who had already thrown me away. I was done. And my life, it was better than ever. The last encounter. It happened 3 months ago. I was sitting at a cafe downtown going over some documents for work when I heard a familiar voice behind me. I turned, and there she was. Candy. She looked wrecked. She had lost weight, not in a healthy way, but in the kind of way that made her look hollow, like the world had chewed her up and spit her out. Her hair was unkempt, her eyes sunken. She wasn't the woman I had once loved. She was a ghost of her former self. She froze when she saw me, clutching a coffee cup like it was the only thing keeping her upright. Tim, she whispered. I didn't say anything, just stared. She took a hesitant step forward. Can we talk? I leaned back in my chair, arms crossed. About what? Her lips trembled. I wanted to say I'm sorry. I let the words hang in the air. Sorry? Sorry? She wasn't sorry when she was sneaking around behind my back. She wasn't sorry when she laughed with her lovers, when she kissed Jake, when she chased after his son like some desperate groupie. She was sorry now. Now that she had lost everything, now that she had no one left. I didn't feel anger. I didn't feel satisfaction. I just felt nothing. I took a sip of my coffee, then looked her dead in the eyes. I don't care. She flinched like I had slapped her. Tim, please. I stood up. I moved on, Candy. You should too. And then I walked away. The final chapter. That was the last time I saw her. Word is she left town not long after. Some say she's trying to start fresh in another state, working dead-end jobs to survive. Others say she's still couch-hopping, trying to find someone, anyone who will take her in. But me? I'm good. Better than good. I got the promotion I worked my ass off for, bought a new car, traveled to places I never had the chance to before, and I met someone. Someone kind, someone real, someone who doesn't make me feel like I have to earn love just by existing. And the best part? I never think about Candy anymore. Not when I wake up, not when I go to bed, not when I drive past the places we used to go. She's just gone. And that's the real victory. Not revenge, not making her suffer, just moving on. Because at the end of the day, she lost everything. And I gained my life back. And it's never been better.